Hey everyone, welcome back to Psychiant. Today, we're diving into something that's a universal experience for all of us. Fear. Yep, that feeling that makes your heart race and your palms sweat. But what if I told you there's more to fear than just scary movies or creepy crawlies? Let's unpack some fascinating psychological facts about fear and explore how it shapes our lives. Ready? Let's jump in. First up, fear is an intensely unpleasant emotional response to perceived dangers and threats. It's not just about survival instincts, it's deeply wired into our brains. When you encounter something scary, your amygdala, a tiny part of your brain, fires up and signals your body to react. Think of it like your body's emergency alarm system. Cool, right? Have you ever wondered why we fear certain things? Fear isn't just a random feeling. It's a complex interplay of genetics, environment, and experiences. Scientists like Dr. Joseph Ledoux, a renowned neuroscientist, explain that fear is a survival mechanism deeply embedded in our brain, particularly in the amygdala, to keep us safe from threats. Take this example. If one of your parents is terrified of spiders, you might inherit that same fear, not just through genes, but through observation. Psychologists call this vicarious learning. On the other hand, maybe you had a traumatic encounter, say a spider bit you, as a child. That single event could condition your brain to associate spiders with danger. This process, known as classical conditioning, was famously studied by Ivan Pavlov. Just as his dogs learn to associate the sound of a bell with food, your brain creates shortcuts to protect you from harm. It's a survival tool, but sometimes it misfires, leading to fears that feel overwhelming or irrational. Understanding. Fear is the first step to overcoming it. Experts like Susan Jeffers, author of Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, remind us that fear isn't something to eliminate, but something to face. After all, as she said, feel the fear and do it anyway. So the next time fear strikes, remember, it's your brain trying to protect you. The question is, will you let it hold you back, or will you use it as a stepping stone to grow? Now here's an interesting twist. Some people actually enjoy feeling scared. It sounds strange at first, doesn't it? But think about those thrill seekers who flock to roller coasters or horror movies. What's going on there? The answer lies in our brain chemistry. When we're scared in a safe environment, like a theme park or a movie theater, our body releases a surge of adrenaline. This is the same fight or flight response we'd experience in a real threat. But here's the kicker. In these controlled situations, our brain knows we're not actually in danger. That's when the fun begins. Alongside adrenaline, your brain pumps out endorphins and dopamine, the feel-good chemicals. These create a unique cocktail of excitement and euphoria. As Dr. Margie Kerr, a sociologist who studies fear, explains, when we're scared in a safe way, it can leave us feeling empowered and alive. This explains why we might scream our lungs out on a roller coaster and then laugh as soon as we hit the ground. It's like our brain is saying, that was terrifying, but also kind of amazing. So, whether it's chasing the thrill of a haunted house or the gut-wrenching drops of a roller coaster, fear in a safe setting becomes a form of entertainment. Who knew that being scared could feel so good? Fear isn't always fun and exciting. Sometimes it can take over our lives in ways that are far from thrilling. When fear becomes so intense that it disrupts daily life, it's classified as a phobia, a type of anxiety disorder that can have a profound impact on mental health. Take agoraphobia, for example, the fear of open or crowded spaces. For some, this fear becomes so overwhelming that even stepping outside their home feels impossible. It's not just about being nervous or uncomfortable. Phobias create an almost paralyzing sense of dread that can interfere with work, relationships, and even basic activities like grocery shopping. Psychologists explain that phobias often stem from a combination of genetics, personal experiences, and brain chemistry. According to the American Psychiatric Association, phobias activate the amygdala, the brain's fear center, in overdrive, creating an exaggerated perception of danger. The good news is that phobias are treatable. Cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT is one of the most effective methods, helping people confront and reframe their fears in manageable steps. Dr. Aaron Beck, a pioneer of CBT, emphasized that changing the way we think changes the way we feel and behave. So, while fear can be a protective instinct, it's important to recognize when it's gone beyond its natural purpose. If fear is holding you or someone you know back, reaching out for professional support can make all the difference. The good news? Fear doesn't have to control you forever. In fact, science offers a powerful way to diminish fear, a process called extinction. It might sound like a big dramatic term, but it's actually a simple concept. Extinction involves exposing yourself to the thing you fear in a controlled and safe environment. Over time, your brain starts to realize, hey, this isn't so dangerous after all. It's like retraining your mind to hit the brakes on that fear response. This method is a cornerstone of exposure therapy, often used to treat anxiety disorders and phobias. For example, someone with social anxiety might start by practicing small interactions, like saying hello to a stranger, and gradually work up to giving a presentation. The repeated exposure helps the brain rewire its fear pathways. Dr. David Barlow, a leading expert in anxiety research, describes extinction as teaching the brain that the alarm system doesn't need to go off. And it works! Studies show that with consistent practice, people can significantly reduce their fear responses. It's important to note that extinction isn't about diving headfirst into terrifying situations. It's a gradual, step-by-step process guided by patience and often the support of a therapist. The result? Freedom from fears that once felt insurmountable. So, if fear is holding you back, remember, with the right tools and mindset, you can teach your brain to see the world in a whole new light. Fear comes in all shapes and sizes. It's not always about spiders or heights. Sometimes it's more subtle, like the fear of failure or the fear of the unknown. These fears might not send us running, but they can still shape our decisions and hold us back in powerful ways. Understanding the type of fear you're facing is the first step toward overcoming it. Psychologists often categorize fear into two main types: rational fears, which are based on real, immediate threats, and irrational fears, which often stem from our perceptions rather than reality. For instance, the fear of failure, while common, often has roots in perfectionism or the pressure to meet high expectations. On the other hand, fear of the unknown reflects our discomfort with uncertainty, a natural response when stepping outside our comfort zones. Dr. Brené Brown, a leading researcher on vulnerability, reminds us that courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. By naming and acknowledging our fears, we take away some of their power. Once you've identified your fear, the next step is to address it. This could mean breaking it down into smaller, manageable pieces or reframing it as an opportunity for growth. After all, fear isn't just a barrier. It can also be a guide, pointing us toward areas where we can grow the most. So, the next time fear creeps in, take a moment to ask yourself, what type of fear is this? And what is it trying to teach me? You might just find that fear isn't an obstacle. It's a stepping stone. Did you know that fear plays a huge role in how we make decisions? It's true. When fear takes the driver's seat, our brain tends to steer us toward the safest possible option. This instinct is tied to something psychologists call loss aversion. Loss aversion is the idea that we're more motivated to avoid losses than to pursue gains. In other words, the fear of failure or making a mistake often outweighs the excitement of potential success. This isn't just speculation. Research by Nobel laureates Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky shows how deeply this survival mechanism is wired into our decision-making process. Imagine you're considering a new job opportunity, but it involves moving to a new city. Even if the role promises growth and fulfillment, fear of the unknown, of leaving what's familiar, might hold you back. Your brain is essentially saying, let's stay safe and stick with what we know, even if the risk could lead to something better. While loss aversion has its roots in survival, it kept our ancestors from taking unnecessary risks in dangerous environments. It's not always helpful in modern life. In fact, it can sometimes hold us back from pursuing valuable opportunities that could lead to personal or professional growth. The key is recognizing when fear is a legitimate signal to pause and when it's an obstacle to overcome. As entrepreneur, an author, Seth Godin, once said, If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try. So, the next time fear makes you second-guess a decision, ask yourself, is this fear protecting me, or is it keeping me from taking a step towards something? Greater, the answer might surprise you. Understanding how to cope with fear is essential for maintaining mental well-being. Fear is a natural response, but when it starts to dominate our thoughts or limit our actions, it's time to take proactive steps. One of the most effective approaches? Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT is a proven method used by therapists to help people challenge irrational thoughts and replace them with more balanced, realistic perspectives. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, CBT might guide you to reframe your thinking from, "I'll embarrass myself," to, "I've prepared well, and it's okay to be nervous." By practicing these shifts in thinking, you can gradually reduce the grip fear has on your mind. But coping with fear doesn't have to be a solo journey. Never underestimate the power of opening up. Sharing your fears with trusted friends, family, or a support group can be transformative. As author Brené Brown highlights, vulnerability is not weakness. It's our most accurate measure of courage. Talking about your fears not only lightens the emotional load, but can also lead to new insights and solutions. Other strategies include mindfulness practices like meditation, which can help ground you in the present moment, and gradually facing your fears through exposure therapy. Each small step you take builds confidence and resilience. So remember, fear is a part of being human, but it doesn't have to define you. With the right tools and support, you can move from simply coping with fear to thriving in spite of it. So there you have it, folks. Fear is a natural part of life, but it doesn't have to control us. By understanding how fear works, we can transform it from a foe into a powerful ally. Whether it's using techniques like CBT, talking to loved ones, or gradually facing our fears, we can take charge and turn fear into a stepping stone toward personal growth. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more fascinating insights on how to live your best life. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.